We're having fun, thinking about the fun and the fear that often come with Halloween for people like me. So we're going to have a costume parade at the end of this service to lift up all those who are wearing costumes, especially our little ones. We invite you to join us for that. As we think about the wheel of the year that turns and how we listen to the seasons change and listen to that fear and fun that gets mixed together during Halloween. So friends, let's kind of shake it out. We're going to do a little dancing later. And I want to tell you a couple of quick stories. When I was a senior in college, I had an opportunity to go on a date with a young woman, and it was our first official date, and I decided something that would be exciting and produce the opportunity to see if we had some chemistry together was to go and see a scary movie together. It was around the time of Halloween in October, and we traveled to the Newport News area, to Hampton, Virginia, to see a movie called Paranormal Activity. Has anyone heard of this movie series, Paranormal Activity? They're very scary movies. And if you can't tell about me, I do not like scary movies. I like fun things. I like watching Harry Potter movies. I like reading books. Scary movies do not do it for me. But if you've ever been in a movie theater or in a group watching a scary movie, you'll notice that watching the same scary movie tends to produce something in the crowd. Sometimes people yell out. Sometimes people shake. Sometimes people grab one another's hands. And these are all excellent ideas if you're looking to have a date with someone. I'm just saying. So this young woman and I, we went to Hampton, Virginia, and to watch Paranormal Activity. It was a Wednesday. It was 11 o'clock in the morning because everything is less scary in the daylight. Regardless of it being daylight, when you get into the movie theater, it's quite dark. And we're watching this movie that is about ghostly activity and absolutely terrifying scenes. And I was not enjoying myself. The young woman I was with, of course, was having a great time, especially seeing me get scared, get more and more frightened. But I was not the most frightened person in the movie theater. There were lots of people screaming and shouting around us. But the gentleman who sat next to me on the other side, with the young woman sitting here and the gentleman sitting here, he may have been the most terrified. And if you had seen this man out in the daylight where things are not as scary, you would not think that he was scared of anything. He was a rather large gentleman. He looked like he could take care of himself in a stressful situation. He looked like he knew his way around some seedy areas. And when it came to watching the same scary movie as me, we found ourselves intimately connected. Because as the movie got scarier and scarier, his anxiety and my anxiety ramped up and up and up until it burst forth in one particularly scary scene where I found this larger gentleman and I all of a sudden sharing the same seat in the movie theater, grasping onto one another, trying to stay calm, trying not to shout out. And of course, we did not plan on that. Of course, he was not the person whose hand I was intending to hold throughout this scary movie. And yet, the fear in this movie, in this situation, brought us together as a couple. Not me and the young woman, me and this guy, but a couple nonetheless. And I realized, as soon as the lights went up after this scary movie, that as terrifying as it has been, there was also a sense of joy in the movie theater. When the lights come back up and the darkness goes away, there was joy. And there was this moment that we will share for the rest of our lives. I hope he tells that story to his friends wherever he is, about the time he jumped into the seat of the white guy next to him during Paranormal Activity in Hampton, Virginia. So the young woman was KP. So that couple also worked out. But I'm reminded about how fear and fun bonded us in those very first days of our relationship. And about the joy that was also amidst the terror of seeing this absolutely petrifying movie. So the question that I have is why? Why do we talk about fear and fun at Halloween? Why do we lift up these scary topics for some that are so joyful for others? And why are they all mixed together? And why do we go see scary movies, pay money to be terrified? Why do we do this to ourselves? I was thinking about this, and I suspect it has something to do with us being called towards being fully human, to experiencing all those emotions that we share in joys and concerns every week. There's some kind of biological basis, right? That fear is a tool that helps keep us alive throughout history. It helps keep us together as a group, right? We fear being alone. And when the world is fine and safe, when you can go to Hampton, Virginia at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, things are not really scary, right? You're not really in danger when you're in a movie theater watching a scary movie, but you still feel it. And I know that deep down, we all have fears, real fears, and that they come out in different ways, in anger, in insecurity. But why is that fear around this time also connected to fun? Why we started wearing costumes and eating candy and trick-or-treating? I think the better question is, why do we seek joy in the fearful? Why do some people love going to scary movies or haunted houses? Why do Samhain and Halloween and All Hallows Eve and Dia de los Muertos, they focus relentlessly on death, yes, but they also celebrate life here, life in the afterlife. It's not meant to be scary only, right? The point of these days is not to just scare people. It's meant to be full of both fear and fun. And even what we experienced in that movie theater, what I experienced when I watched St. Grover, the joy of music together, the joy of silly songs, the joy of costumes, the joy of candy. Am I right? In that movie theater, I had to remind myself, you're safe. You're not really in danger. You are loved and worthy of love. It's going to be okay. And remind the gentleman next to me, it's okay. You're safe. You're fine. You're loved and worthy of love. And I think that theologically, deep down, I really do believe that. That deep down, we are whole, good, safe. Even when the world outside does not always feel that way. We can say that I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Because most of the time in our world today, we are safe. So I wonder if we put ourselves in these scary situations to feel the fear that is part of our humanity, that helps us feel the whole range of human emotions. I try not to judge people who like to be scared like that, because I don't. I try to appreciate them for it. Some people like Halloween more than others. Some people like being scared at haunted houses and in scary movies. Some don't. But regardless of who you are, I had this epiphany coming out of the movie theater and remembering how the joy was so much more apparent after the lights came back on, that all the terror and the fear almost washed away. Reminded of this quote by Professor Dumbledore from the Harry Potter series. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. If you've had my experience, you know that you can watch a scary movie and make it less scary by turning on the lights. that you can make it even less scary by turning off the noise. That the world is less scary when we turn on a light. And the world is less scary when we turn off the noise. So it's not just, should we seek being scared? Or why do we seek being scared? It's what does it do for us? What is the joy inherent in being scared? In these scary days, I wonder if we can lean into this appreciation, of our human condition, of all the stuff that we got inside of us, and look through that fear for a path to experience joy. It's from Dr. Stephen Stosny, psychotherapist, who says that the path to joy is threefold. Appreciate, embrace, connect. He writes that you should appreciate people who have different experiences than you. You should appreciate people who enjoy being frightened, who enjoy different activities. You should appreciate your own emotional experience, your own path, whatever it is, and try not to judge yourself or others. That the path to joy requires an open mind and an open heart. That maybe going on a first date to see a scary movie that you have no intention of seeing might lead to being married 10 years later. Of course, judgment sometimes helps keep us alive, and learning to temper that with extra appreciation and extra gratitude for the things that we do have. That's always important. But appreciating what gives us, what gives us this human experience, horror movies that are a lot more fun when it doesn't seem so scary outside in the real world, pandemic movies that were a lot more fun before they turned so real, we can appreciate them and find a little joy in them. The second part is embracing our own vulnerability to tell our stories about when we get scared in movie theaters, about what scares us about the real world. That being vulnerable, not denying or blaming or projecting, that it opens us up to connection with others. The paradox of when we are vulnerable, we are stronger. When we are vulnerable, we are more courageous. That lays the basis for that third step, to connect. To connect with everyone on this call, everyone in our community, to remember that we all experience fear, and we can all experience fun, and maybe even joy. That on that basic human level, no matter if we're a young white college student or a larger African-American gentleman from Newport News, we can be connected in very real ways when the circumstances are right and when we are open to being led, when we are opening to listening. Not just the folks that we trick or treat with, not just the folks we watch scary movies with, work with, visit with, travel this earth with. Even when things are scary, when we seek joy on the other side, when we seek joy in what we might call the sunlight, the less shady parts of the world, when we turn on the light and turn off the noise, we might find joy. My friends, in this era, in this month, especially in this week, I'm asking you, inviting you, begging you, look for joy amidst the fear. Because that is what horror movies that I hate and Harry Potter movies that I love have taught me. that we have a role to play in making this world a little less scary by turning on the light and turning off the noise. And that the people you go through these experiences with, the people that you connect with, even those who might seem different and closed off, you can become so closely bonded that collectively we become more human together. We acknowledge our fears and anxieties without judgment. We embrace our vulnerabilities, so much so we might dress up and parade them in costumes to try and connect to the people around us and connect with you. Because today, the only monsters that we're worried about are the ones we see in the mirror, the ones that may just be us. And for today, we remind ourselves we're safe, we're fine, we are loved and worthy of love. Wubba, 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 woo, woo, woo. My friends, find your joy wherever you can, even in scary movies. And remember, everything is less scary when you turn on a light and when we turn off the noise. May it be so. Amen. Now is the time where we collect our offering.